is 1985. I am on Mars. I am 56 years old. The photograph lies at my feet, falls from my fingers, is in my hand. I am watching the stars, admiring their complex trajectories through space, through time. I am trying to give a name to the force that set them in motion.
One of the greatest credits to Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons' Watchmen is its ability to combine philosophy, fantasy, and real science in a way that has managed to feel simultaneously modern for several decades, while also begging questions which, by their very nature, may never receive a satisfying answer. The complex and sometimes circular interactions between the fantastic, scientific, and philosophical qualities of the story are crucial to assigning meaning to the events of the narrative. Issue 4 of Watchmen deals with error-sensitive politics, the disruptive nature of progress, and the unknowable apathy of godhood. But the key to this chapter, and indeed much of the saga, rests with understanding Dr. Manhattan himself and how he sees space and time. To help our understanding, Moore has embedded clues throughout the 4th issue, beginning with the several direct references to Einstein and his physics. Given the story's context, these road signs point us towards a baseline reliance upon special relativity and its implications for the movement of light and the bending of space-time. A key implication of that theory provides a motif for the story and effectively bookends the chapter. At page 2, Dr. Manhattan thinks,
I am 227 million kilometers from the sun. Its light is already 10 minutes old. It will not reach Pluto for another 2 hours.
By the end of the issue, Manhattan returns to this idea, reflecting,
The light of 2 hours past will just be reaching Pluto. If they have strong telescopes there, they can see me.
The story is enclosed within this implication of special relativity. To someone fast enough, the past is readily accessible. Keenly in this frame, Moore also reminds us of the photograph Manhattan recovered from the Gyla Flats testing facility, where he is still standing 27 hours into the past. The appearance of the photograph serves as something of a framing device to better explain Manhattan's perspective, and it is intimately related to this understanding of time. As Dr. Manhattan muses,
All we ever see of stars are their old photographs.
the special quality of photographs hinted at by this panel prompts us to engage in a storied kind of philosophy, asking the question, what do we see when we look at a photograph? To answer it, we must first acknowledge that photographs are aligned with reality in a way that paintings and other forms of representation making are not. Philosopher Kendall Walton uses a simple thought experiment to illustrate this difference, telling a story about an explorer who discovers a dinosaur on safari and alternatively presents sketches or photographs in support of his claim. Walton writes, the important difference is that, in the case of the sketches, we rely on the picture maker's belief that there is a dinosaur in a way which we don't in the case of the photographs. The photographs would have been different had the scene been different, even if the photographer believed and so aimed and snapped his camera as he actually did. The film theorist Andre Bazin famously claimed that photography's inherent connection to reality means that photographs are themselves a duplicate model of their subject. Walton himself makes a somewhat less extreme claim, arguing that to look at a photograph is to see through it into the moment in which it was created. In this way, Walton advances a theory of photographs as transparent, a kind of apparatus for extending our visual spheres. Photography, he writes, is an aid to vision. With the assistance of the camera, we can see not only around corners and what is distant or small, we can also see into the past, observing through a telescope the explosion of a star which occurred millions of years ago. Manhattan makes an identical claim from the sands of Mars, observing,
I turn away from stars that may have burned out eons ago. I no longer wish to look at dead things.
If, as Manhattan says, all we see of stars are old photographs, then to look at a photograph is to look directly into the past. Photography provides a perfect analogy for the mode of seeing practiced by Dr. Manhattan. Much like a telescope pointed at the night sky, through photographs we observe reality as it existed and continues to exist in the past. Walton's transparent images rely on the observable nature of the past, and the implication that time's shape leaves an indelible impression on the universe. How the future could be predicted from this vantage is less clear, though Manhattan continues,
Things have their shape in time, not space alone. Some marble blocks have statues within them, embedded in their future.
While no scientific theory can account for looking forwards, the deterministic nature of the Watchmen universe denotes certain inevitabilities. That being the case, Manhattan's foresight is, perhaps, by virtue of holding a complete understanding of the past and its predetermined outcomes, rather than any real mysticism. And yet, simply being able to view the past and predict the future does not enable one to change it, as is the philosophy of time described in Kurt Vonnegut's Slaughterhouse-Five. This is an excerpt of that novel's protagonist, Billy Pilgrim, discussing the nature of a deterministic reality.
"We know how the universe ends," said the guide, "and Earth has nothing to do with it, except that it gets wiped out too." "How? How does the universe end?" said Billy. "We blow it up, experimenting with new fuels for our flying saucers. A Tralfamadorian test pilot presses a starter button, and the whole universe disappears. So it goes." "If you know this," said Billy, "isn't there some way you can prevent it? Can't you keep the pilot from pressing the button? He has always pressed it, and he always will. We always let him, and we always will let him. The moment is structured that way."
And so, Manhattan and Billy Pilgrim before him are not time travelers in the ordinary sense. Instead, they understand how to look into the past and that they are helpless to alter the future. The apathy that distracts Dr. Manhattan throughout much of the Watchmen saga is an extension of this cosmic awareness, the understanding that he can have no impact on the world other than that designed for him. Moore concludes the issue thusly, "But it's too late. Always has been. Always will be. Too late."